Hey, welcome to D Time Season 1, Episode 26, titled The Craftswoman. And man, I'm excited to talk with the guest for today, Nicole Jenkins. I've known her for a little under a year, but she's always making something. Very creative, very handy, and always has great ideas. Man, just excited to chat with her more, and you guys will see what she's up to. But uh, the topic intrigued me because we all have little hobbies or things that we like to do, things that work the creative side of our brains. But I wonder if we understand how important it is to that we have hobbies, that we have things that we do, things that occupy or activate that creative side of our brains. And I think it's very important. I think it's very important to make sure that we're being creative, that we're putting ourselves out there, exploring new things. And so I'm excited for you guys to hear from Nicole, hear what she has to say, hear what helps her kind of get into creative space, and you know and honestly just hear the different types of things that she's uh, dove into creatively. And so I'm interested to hear from you guys as well. What are some things that you do to get creative? What are some of your hobbies, things that kind of help activate that part of your brain? It'd be cool to see the different types of things that folks are into. So as always, leave some hobbies, leave some crafting tips or tricks in the comment section. You can follow this podcast at D Time Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, or reach out to us at dtimepodcast at gmail.com. So stick around for part two, where I sit down with Nicole and talk about being a craftswoman and what that entails, and some things that have helped her, and what she's getting into. So stick around for part two. Peace. Hey, welcome to part two of D Time, Season 1, Episode 26. Um, I titled this The Crafts Woman, and I have a special guest, Nicole Jenkins, here, and we're going to talk about crafting. So, Nicole, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, before we kind of dive into the topic, Nicole, can you take a couple minutes just to share about yourself to the whoever may be listening?
Sure. So kind of just do a quick overview of the last 34 years. I grew up in New Hampshire, and I spent a lot of time outside. I loved reading. I loved working with animals. We usually always had horses, or we had friends with horses, so I was riding a lot. I was really involved in 4-H growing up. I did Irish dancing for all 4 years of high school. And then I went to college for 2 years at Seattle Pacific University. Decided I didn't like my major, and so I went back home, and then I got in a long-distance relationship with Brian, now my husband. So I moved to Virginia, and then we got married, and I lived there for 7 years. And then we moved to Seattle, and we have 2 kids, and I stay home and take care of them, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, a lot to cover in a short amount of time. Thanks.
Yeah.
So the title is all about crafting, and in the short time that I've known you, and we were talking earlier, I don't know of anyone that's has so much. I don't even, because I don't know about your full experience in crafting, but I don't know anyone that's has so many different avenues of crafting that I know about. Just so small amount, So, for you, as best as you can, how would you describe your crafting journey?
Yeah, so my crafting journey has really been like a lifelong process. Kind of been figuring out what I like to do, which turns out is kind of some of everything, which is why that's what you know about me. It really started at a really young age with my parents. They always encouraged me. I was always drawing and doodling and doing projects, and so they really encouraged me in that. And they also set a really good example. Like my mom was always like baking cakes for people, and she did really fancy decorations. And my dad builds pipe organs, and he also does a lot of other wood crafting and carving and stuff like that. So seeing them do their things, and then like my dad would take me to work with him, and he would teach me how to use different tools, and he would let me raid the scrap wood bin that they had there at his work, and he would just let me make basically whatever I wanted, whatever I was in the mood to make. He would just help me with a few things here and there, but he basically just let me do it myself. So I made all kinds of things. I'd make like little stables for my horses, and I think I made like a skating ramp thing for like a mini skateboard. It had like ramps and launches and stuff. So that was a big thing. And then also I did 4-H for like 12 years. That gave me a lot of opportunities to learn from a bunch of different people, a bunch of different crafts. And I had a bunch of different teachers, which was really cool to learn from different people. 'Cause they would all like, basically for 4-H, the leaders would volunteer. They didn't get paid to do any of this stuff. So basically they would volunteer to teach something that they really enjoyed doing. So you're learning from someone who's really, really into what they're doing. So that was really inspiring to me, to see people be really into their craft and want to teach others that. So I got that. And so I guess a lot of that carries into where I am today. I take online classes on Skillshare. I'm sure some people have heard of that. Basically, it's an online resource. You can basically learn anything on Skillshare. So I go in there and I just find classes on things I'm really interested in. So I just can take them at my own pace and whenever I can find some time. I'm also volunteering at a local company here in Seattle called The Works. It's a woman-owned company, and the whole point is to build a community where people can get together. And I mean, they do crafts, but they do all kinds of stuff. They keep adding more and more things. So that's really cool. So I get to go and volunteer for some of the classes for that, and I've taken a few also. And I'm also trying to do it once a month. I host the ladies' art night. We kind of took the summer off a little bit, but it's basically just one night out of the month for ladies to get together, sans children, and just hang out and talk and share some snacks and drinks. And we sometimes do like a set project. Sometimes we do a bring your own project. It really just depends kind of on the month and the time of year, stuff like that. But that's been a really cool thing where I get to take some of the things I've learned over the years and share them with other people and kind of teach a little bit. I don't do too much teaching, but just a little bit to get people going, and then we just kind of let it roll from there. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. My wife went to one of those, and she's like, picked up the, I don't call it the knitting bug. You know, she's knitted a couple.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
So, what about crafting, like, do you love the most, or kind of like what gets it going for you in terms of crafting?
So I think, really for me, it's like learning new things. Like I said, I like to do a lot of things. I consider myself a collector of hobbies. Basically, like, something really interests me and I do a lot of looking into it, and I do a lot of looking on Pinterest, obviously, for ideas, and I may take a Skillshare class if I can find one, or some YouTube tutorials, and then I just like dive right in, because it's really all about just like learning something new, and then getting to use that. And usually all my crafting I end up using for like gift making. I did have an Etsy shop for a little while that kind of didn't really work out, but it was a good experience. And so, yeah, it's just cool to be able to have those skills when things come up and be like, oh, hey, I know how to do some of that, or, oh, I have an idea for that. So, yeah.
Nice. So what would you say is your favorite thing to craft, or in the past, or maybe something you're looking forward to?
I don't know. I really like woodworking, which is something I haven't done in quite a while, just because I don't have tools and the resources to do it right now. But I guess at the moment, I'm really into watercolor. It's just been really like a fun medium to play with, because you can just do a bunch of experimenting. It's not really that hard to get started. You just need some brushes and some paint and water and some paper. And that's been fun to just incorporate into things. Like, I've taken a bunch of Skillshare classes on that, and then just being able to make little cards or add into my journal, or just random stuff where I can just like pull out my watercolors and add little details here and there and stuff like that. So That and hand lettering has been the other big thing I've been into lately. So I've been practicing that a lot, and which is also another fun thing to use for like making cards and writing tags and different things like that. So.
Wow. So, in the first part, I talked a lot about, when it comes to crafting, I wouldn't consider myself like handy in terms of crafts, but I do think that, everyone, despite whatever level they feel like they're at, has the ability to create something. I think it's something that we're all kind of innately born with, to make things. So for you, if someone came to you who wanted to kind of get into crafts and maybe felt like they, weren't at that level, what kind of advice would you give them if for someone wanting to get into crafting?
So really what most of the time if someone's like, oh, I don't really craft, or oh, I'm not really good at this or whatever, I'm like, just go for it. Like, just have fun with it. Like, don't put pressure on it. Like, you're not trying to do it like and make a career out of it. You're not trying to, do it to make money. You just want to do something fun or learn something new.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many great resources out there right now. Like, you can find a tutorial on pretty much everything on YouTube. Or go on Pinterest and find some ideas to help get you started. If you really want to invest some of it, Skillshare is a great place to start too, because you can take as many classes as you want, like for the whole year. And they offer like a free month or 2-month trial, I think, when you sign up. So you can try it before you even have to pay for anything to see if you even like it. Even if you just want to get some ideas. And also, you don't have to spend like a lot of money on supplies to get started either. I'm the kind of person who likes to research a lot of stuff before I buy it. Like, I weigh the pros and cons of everything. I look at all the reviews. Like, I do all kinds of research before I purchase my supplies. But that's now. Back when I was younger, it was just like I'd just go to Michael's and buy like the $5 set of whatever. Or you can get really cool. They sell all kinds of kits now to get started. Like, if you want to learn like macrame or needle felting or there's tons of stuff out there, and you can just buy a kit and it comes with everything you need to get started. And they're like, I don't know, most of them are like under $15. So you don't really have to like go crazy and buy some of everything. Like, just a couple things to get you started. Or even I found a lot of craft supplies at the thrift store too, depending on what it is you want to do. So yeah, pretty much just go for it. Like, it's just for fun. Like, don't put pressure on it to be like amazing your first time out trying something. 'Cause I definitely was not. Like, I just keep trying and practicing until I get better. So.
Nice. Awesome. So one thing I always ask everyone I sit down and chat with is, what's the best piece of advice that someone's given you? And it doesn't have to necessarily be in the realm of crafting. It can be about anything.
Yeah, so I was trying to think of something. I haven't, nothing stood out to me really, but one thing I picked up kind of recently was basically the best thing to do is just give yourself 5 to 10 minutes a day to do something creative. Like, it doesn't even necessarily have to be the same thing every day. But just doing that for 5 to 10 minutes, it kind of just starts to become you'll just notice that incorporating that into your day actually just makes you feel more creative for the whole day, no matter what you're doing. And just kind of stick to it. Don't give up on it. If you decide, oh, I'm going to do a little doodle every day and just take 5 minutes and do a little doodle. At first, maybe it's not the greatest, but that's not what matters. It's the practice of it. It's getting yourself into that habit, and even that little bit of practice, you're going to start to see improvement. So I guess that would be my piece of advice to someone else. I don't know that I've necessarily gotten that specifically from anybody, but I know for myself that is helpful to me. So.
No, that's great. No, that's a great idea. I think exactly, you should be creating something every day.
Yeah, because I just feel like people think oh, I need to sit down and commit, an hour or 2 hours to trying to get really good at this one thing really fast, when it's not. You're more going to stress yourself out when you do that, as opposed to just doing one little thing, or even working up to getting, where you can sit down for an hour and do something. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I've definitely learned a lot. I'm going to definitely check out Skillshare and find some inspiration. Nicole, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about your crafting. If there's any links or anything that you want me to include on the episode, by all means, feel free. For those listening, maybe share some of the crafts that you've made or some things that you're kind of into, and even some tips or tricks that help keep you going. You can follow the podcast on D-Time Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, and dtimepodcast@gmail.com. Nicole, once again, thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That was fun.
Awesome.